Welcome to this week's episode of the Genetic Genius Podcast. In this episode, we'll be exploring the power of Ayurveda in promoting women's hormonal balance with a specific focus on Pmdd, or premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Our guest, Harmony, is an Ayurveda and Women's health practitioner, registered nurse, and founder of the Ayurveda Alchemist Academy. Harmony's mission is to bridge the gap between Eastern and Western medicine and help women reclaim their health and balance their hormones using her unique higHERself method. This method is also the backbone of her accredited certification program, Ayurveda Alchemist, which helps individuals become certified Ayurveda holistic health coaches and create a deeper impact in their lives and the lives of others. Join us as we dive into the world of Ayurveda and its potential for women's hormonal health. We'll also explore Harmony's higHERself method and learn how it can help women with Pmdd and high-functioning anxiety. So tune in and join us for another exciting episode of the Genetic Genius. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Genetic Genius Podcast. I'm so excited today to have my guest, Harmony Robinson-Stagg. Welcome, Harmony.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yay, we're going to have such a great conversation today about women's health. And I would first love for you to introduce yourself to our audience so we can get to know you just a little bit better.
Yeah, so my name is Harmony, as you mentioned, and I'm an Ayurveda and Women's health practitioner and the founder of the Ayurveda Alchemist Academy. So I certify women to become Ayurveda and Women's holistic health coaches.
I love that. And you live in another country, don't you? I can tell by your beautiful accent.
I do. I'm all the way from the sunny Gold Coast in Australia. So quite away from anyone else in the world, Australia.
Yes. I'm reading a book all about Australia right now. It's one of the Seven Sisters, the Pearl Sister. Have you heard of that series?
No, I have not.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe I'll send it to you later, but yeah, it's the Pearl Sister and it's all based in Australia. It's really cool.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure we can go way off subject, but I'm going to keep us on track. So as we're talking today about Ayurveda, which I love Ayurveda, can you talk to us about how it really differs from Western medicine when it comes specifically to women's hormonal health?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ayurveda is actually one of the oldest forms of medicine known to man. It stems from India, and it was first documented in the Vedic text, which are like 5,000 years old. But obviously we didn't have paper and printers. So they were originally written on palm leaves. And then obviously when paper and printers became a thing, they got transcribed into textbooks. In Australia, and I think in the US as well, Ayurvedic practitioners, they work really similar to naturopaths actually. However, we have a certain principles and theories that are very unique to Ayurveda, including the doshas, which are the 3 energy types that make up your individual constitution. So our dietary and lifestyle recommendations, our herbal medicine prescriptions, and our treatments will always take in your individual constitution into account. And when it comes to hormones, the term hormone was actually coined, I think it was, 5 by Ernest Sterling. So when we look at 5,000 of years ago, the word hormone wasn't really a thing in Ayurveda. So what Ayurveda has always done so beautifully is realized that we need to bring the body into a natural balanced state. And the more emerging science and modern Ayurvedic texts has simply been able to weave in the concepts of hormones into this newfound science, newfound as in hundreds. But yeah, so basically when it comes to, I guess, the difference between Ayurveda's perspective on hormones and the Western medicine perspective is Ayurveda never separates anything. Our mind and body are so intricately connected. And so when we look at a standpoint or hormonal imbalances, we're looking at balancing the whole mind, body, emotions, mental health, spiritual health, and even our dharmic impact, which as a practitioner, I have found has had such a huge impact on women. And as soon as something come slightly out of balance with women, it's very easy for our hormonal system, which are our chemical messengers, to follow suit. So if a woman isn't feeling deeply connected to purpose, that can create a stress response in the mind and the body, and that can create hormonal imbalances. So when we look at hormones from an Ayurvedic perspective, as I mentioned, there's those three governing energies, mind, body, energy bodies within our body. We all have all three of them, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. We just have them in varying degrees. So we all have a unique, different proportion of them. And our Vata dosha, it really governs the central nervous system and our stress response. It really has an intimate role with our hormones and our adrenal glands. So when we're balancing our Vata dosha, we're really looking at balancing that central nervous system and our adrenals. Pitta dosha is really responsible for the chemical processes in the body, our liver and our blood, our rakta dhatu. And our hormones, as many of your listeners would know, they're carried, a lot of them are carried in our blood. They are chemical messengers, and the liver plays such an important part in detoxification and hormonal transformation. And then kapha dosha, this is responsible for a lot of growth in our body. So when we think of hormonal exacerbated conditions, say fibroids, even some hormonal cancerous types, then we're looking at the kapha dosha and how we can really manage that. It also slows down our digestion, what we also term agni, so our digestive fire, and the flow of nutrients and waste in the body. So we can have a lot of accumulations of toxins which can be really detrimental to our hormonal health. And it can also slow down, this is another Ayurvedic term, but our Mana Maya Kosha, which is the mind-body channel, I suppose you could say. And if that is slowed down, like we can think of symptoms such as brain fog, right? Because our mind-body connection is all slowed down. So I guess that is hormones and Ayurveda in a nutshell, but obviously it goes a lot deeper than that.
Oh, that's great, Harmony. I really liked how you described the doshas, because I think that's the key piece. Ayurveda has a lot of pieces, but that's a key piece in its philosophy. And I really liked how you brought into the piece about hormones not really even being talked about until 1905. Now it's the word we throw around everywhere, but there was a time when it wasn't. And I think that's probably for women's health in general, right? There weren't like women's health practitioners or physicians that you would go and see. It was we were classified as, what is the funny term? I can't, like in the 1890s, we were like crazy, right? We would have a hormone condition, hysterical, right? Yes. So once we got over people thinking that we're hysterical, then we could have some real health come in. And so when we're talking about Ayurveda, how specifically do you use it in your practice to treat a PMDD? And maybe let's talk about that specifically, because I think that's a huge piece where a lot of our listeners, monthly especially, are having these conditions come up.
Yeah, absolutely. So PMDD is a really interesting condition, and just for your listeners, PMDD stands for premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and it's often described as severe forms of premenstrual symptoms, PMS, but I like to say PMS on steroids plus. It can have a real significant emotional and physical impact on women. But I feel that the emotional impact is huge with PMDD. It actually affects up to 8% of women. I feel that it's very much underdiagnosed because it's put in the box of PMS. And so it could possibly be a little bit more, but it's usually characterized by severe mood swings, anxiety, irritability, and physical symptoms such as bloating, breast tenderness, and headaches. Basically, it can be anywhere from ovulation to your menstruation, even sometimes a bit through menstruation, but often a little bit of relief comes from menstruation. Now, with PMD, the cause isn't fully understood yet, but it is thought to be related to a heightened sensitivity to hormonal changes that occur during the menstrual cycle. Specifically, PMDD is thought to be caused by sensitivity of the hormone progesterone, which can cause changes in mood and other symptoms. PMD is not necessarily a hormonal imbalance because it's a true sensitivity to normal fluctuations, but it can coexist with hormonal imbalances. And if we think outside the box, and often when we think hormonal imbalances, we think estrogen versus progesterone, we think about our sex hormones, but really a hormonal imbalance can be an imbalance between any of the hormones. And actually the most common ones is the stress and the sex hormonal imbalance going on and how they work together. Yeah. From an Ayurvedic standpoint with PMDD, I take a really holistic standpoint through my higHERself methodology. So the very first pillar is health of self. So we address the physical health. And if that requires taking functional lab tests, like I still incorporate some of these evidence-based modern science principles as well. We really look at the physical health, the physical body. We look at the emotional and the mental body. We look at the spiritual body, and we also look at that dharmic impact, that purpose and connection to self. And then I go through the second pillar, which is looking at empowering belief shifts through Ayurvedic psychology and really addressing those deep-seated belief systems and subconscious conditioning, as well as addressing the aspects of the mind. Because Ayurveda, the mind-body connection, is so apparent and strong that we really can't treat them as dual entities to health. PMD can severely affect one's mood, memory, and emotional reactions to certain situations. And those women who suffer from PMDD, they react so quickly. Their central nervous system, so that vata dosha, is really imbalanced. And then they feel so guilty and awful after it. It really can affect their relationships with their kids, their husbands. They often feel really out of control with their reactions and have that immense sense of guilt. The emotional and behavioral aspect of PMDD can really affect their self-esteem. And so Ayurveda takes a psychological approach to help identify triggers, why they are triggers, and how to respond when those mental triggers are activated. And this takes neural pathway regulation and central nervous system toning. Ayurvedic psychology also helps women heal from an empowered state and take control over their health and well-being, because as we really can't heal from a disempowered state. And then the third pillar is dharmic impact. So making purpose-driven changes that's going to create greater impact in your life, and really individualizing their treatment through dosha-specific treatments. We obviously look at diet and lifestyle changes and certain herbal remedies that will really help support the woman throughout their cycle.
Oh my gosh, Harmony, thank you so much. Such a great explanation of PMD, because I really like how you brought in the emotional component, right? Because I think that sometimes can be the overarching aspect where women are just like, they're so frustrated about these emotions that are coming up and they feel like they're out of control, right? They don't have control of these emotions. And coming, like you said, from that place of disempowerment, you're never going to be able to, one, even recognize that you are in this place of disharmony, right? And then how to bring yourself back into balance. Yeah, such a great piece there, addressing the emotional piece. And that's true with all health, right? Addressing that emotional piece from women's perspective, especially because our hormones do fluctuate all the time, right? And even through all of our different stages of life, even through premenopause and postmenopause, we still have those hormones. I think that there's a concept that, once you have menopause, those hormones are just gone. I'm like, oh, that's not how it works. We still have them. We still have all kinds of hormones in the body. So when you're thinking about, using from that Ayurvedic perspective, what's one of your favorite Ayurvedic herbs that you love to use with PMD? Because I think that I know a few of them, but I think our listeners are not really as attuned to that piece when it comes to Ayurvedic herbal medicine.
Yeah, sure. So again, we look at the doshas, because the vata dosha, the pitta dosha, or the kapha dosha can be more prominent in a specific woman. That's probably not the best way to word that, but a woman
right.
who is going through PMDD. So we're always looking to balance their dosha because that will regulate and the homeostatic balance within their body. But in general, certain herbs such as ashwagandha, being an adaptogenic herb, is really beautiful to help manage cortisol levels that can go a little array when we're like reacting and creating all those stress responses in the body. Shatavari is a really beautiful hormonal women's herb that we use in Ayurveda a lot. And Brahmi is really calming on the mind because, as we mentioned, like Pmdd has such a huge impact on our emotional and mental health state as well. So there are a few of the Ayurvedic herbs that I would use regularly with a lot of my clients, but I also do bring in some other Western herbs and supplements like magnesium, zinc, other things like that to calm the body as well.
That's
so
great.
Taking that really
Yeah. Oh, I love ashwagandha. It's one of my favorite herbs. I love it to use. It's so helpful, especially like you said, from that cortisol and stress perspective, which we so need because, a lot of people have a hard time handling stress, especially due to the pandemic. And women, particularly when we're in that state of the type A personality, right? So that ashwagandha really helps to calm the system. It's such a wonderful herb. It's not only calming, but it also has strength, right? The strength of a horse, the stallion. Yes. So it's so good. I love that balance with it. It can like help when you're feeling so depleted from your energy, and which is part of that stress component, but also then can help calm at the same time, which is such a great, not so many herbs have both of those together, like balancing out.
Absolutely. And traditionally, like going back thousands of years, ashwagandha was actually prescribed more for men because of that strength of a stallion, strength of a horse. They found, like, because it's an adaptogenic, how beautifully it works with women and women's hormonal state.
Oh yeah, that's so true. Yes, it does help with men's health, and men listeners out there, we're not forgetting you. You have hormones just as much as we do. Ours just function in a different way.
Yeah, ours is
Yeah.
a little bit more roller coaster like.
Exactly. Yes. So you mentioned earlier, Harmony, your higHERself method, and I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that and what it is and how it specifically helps women with the hormonal imbalances. You mentioned a little bit about it earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. So my higHERself method is what I take my clients through in my 90-day hormone solution program. And it covers off the 3 pillars that I have seen. When you combine and work through all of these 3 pillars, you can really step into your higher self and create greater impact in your life. And as we know, when we do that, it's a ripple effect on our relationships, on our family, on the way we show up in our everyday life, our career, whatever that is. So I feel like health is the foundation of us being able to step into our higher self. So, of course, the very first pillar is called health of self. And self with a capital S, because it encompasses all of us. And we aren't just our body and we aren't just our mind. We are so much more than that. So we are a human being, yes, but we're also a spiritual being. So it really looks at optimizing health through a holistic and integrative approach, taking a multidimensional approach. And I like to also, there's an Ayurvedic term called Shakti synergy. I haven't, it's a bit confusing when I didn't want to name it this, but it really, what that means is Shakti is a Sanskrit term that refers to the feminine principle of divine energy that is believed to represent the dynamic, creative, and transformative power in the universe. So in Ayurveda, Shakti is always thought to represent the vital energy or life force that flows through all living beings to maintain balance. So really taking a holistic approach, an integrative approach, and an individualized approach to health so that we can meet all aspects of ourselves and really nurture that. That means cultivating a greater self-awareness of your own mind-body constitution, which I provide a lot of education to my clients. I think that is key. Knowledge is power. It is actually self-empowerment. And the gift of knowledge, what you do yourself, Dr. Lulu, with this beautiful podcast, it goes beyond the time of you gifting it, right? It can be transformational for a long period of time. We also analyze your current lifestyle and identify your current habits. And then we integrate holistic healing modalities to suit individual needs and implement change for optimal health and longevity. So that's the first pillar. Then the next pillar is empowering belief shifts through Ayurvedic psychology. As I mentioned, we can't heal from a disempowered state. So we really want to look at the mindset. And from an Ayurvedic point of view, it's looking at sattva, rajas, and tamas. They're the different modes or qualities of the mind. And we want to identify any limiting core beliefs about people when they get diagnosed with things, they become that diagnosis and have limiting beliefs around that. But there may be other and there may be other beliefs that are hindering their healing pathway. So we want to question those beliefs and their meanings, and we want to cultivate new empowered beliefs and meanings to support your higher self and help to rewire those subconscious patterns that are keeping you stuck where you are. And then we want to implement and show up as that new empowered belief, because this will absolutely allow you to flourish in all areas of your life. And then my third pillar is dharmic impact through purpose-driven changes. And this is fostering a deeper connection to self, which is the ultimate purpose that will create the deepest impact, and aligning all aspects of self to embody and embrace that higher self. So this really comes down to having that education, that awareness, and creating purpose-driven changes, whether that's in business, health, or life. So the way that we do this is we connect to your current purpose and uncovering your future goals. So whether that's like with your health goals or whatever that might be, by asking the right question. Sometimes it's really hard to ask ourselves the right question, right? That's why we work with a practitioner or a coach. And then we want to evaluate your intention and your future goals, and then take that information and create those purpose-driven changes and a plan that can that aligns with you and something that you can really birth into the future, so that your goals are long lasting. They're not just, okay, I'm working with a practitioner, I'm doing all these things, and then I don't have any sort of understanding of how I can implement these into the future for longevity. Not being so stringent and strict, but having a future plan.
That's great, Harmony. I love those pillars, that whole piece of body, mind, and spirit coming together. And like you said, like having that higher self and purpose is a huge piece of our health component. Without that, it's like we have to hold the vision, right, of what we want to be, what we want to become. But if we don't even know what that is, how can we transform out of the place of the health that we are currently in? I work with patients all the time on their health story. Okay, here you are, you're traveling through in your current state of health, but what's the next story? What do you want to be? What's your vision? Because without that, it's like you can't have the change, that limiting belief you talked about, being like stuck in that current state of labeling ourselves with that chronic disease.
Absolutely.
So important. And when we're talking about from that holistic perspective, what specific like lifestyle changes do you bring in from the Ayurvedic perspective? Are they different? I know we have the basic foundations, but are there specific lifestyle changes that are from an Ayurvedic principle that come in and helping with the hormonal balance?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a term called dinacharya, which just means daily routine. And if you look at all of the successful people, they contribute their success to a daily routine. If you think Oprah Winfrey, Tony Robbins, like they always banging on about their routine, right? And a routine really settles the Vata dosha. A lot of people who are very Vata dominant, they don't love routine. They like to be spontaneous. They're very creative. They like to go with the flow, but that can contribute to becoming too out of balance. So when we're out of balance with our hormones, the Vata dosha, even the Pitta dosha, we really need to have a routine that's individualized to our own constitution. Sometimes that can sound like too much work or really scary for people, but that's when we sit with them and we really work out their time frame and what we can actually do. Often a routine will take 5 to 10 minutes, so it doesn't have to be long. But what I have found to really help with hormonal imbalance is adding a bit of breath work into that routine. So we want to, when we first wake up, we don't want to get that sympathetic nervous system just rushing off and spitting out the adrenaline and the cortisol, because we know that impacts our sex hormones as a woman. Again, when we're talking about the hormonal imbalances, we need to really look at our stress and sex hormones. So a lot of women, they're exhausted from staying up late at night because they've finally got the kids to bed, and they're doing all their jobs at night, and then they wake up in the morning when their alarm goes off, but that's only enough time to quickly pack the kids lunch and then take them to school and then come back or go to work or whatever it is. So they're constantly on this, like this adrenaline rush, and they usually scull a big jug of coffee to fake their energy. And that caffeine hit is actually like that adrenaline boost, really. And so again, it's just perpetuating this hormonal imbalance of stress versus sex hormones. But what if we could wake up? And Ayurveda advocates to wake up with the sunrise. That some people isn't ideal, but I love it. And what if we could wake up, yay, you're my people. And if you can wake up and you can be in that really calming state to start with, that parasympathetic state. If you can wake up, you could wash your face. We talk about scraping our tongue to release the the toxin build up overnight, scrape the tongue, and then just spend a couple of minutes like connecting to yourself through the breath, because through the breath, prana is life force energy. We start to exacerbate that life force energy within us, but we start to connect into our body and our mind, and we can start to understand how we're feeling in that moment and just cultivate that sense of self-awareness and that time for ourselves. It also helps us regulate that parasympathetic nervous system, starting our day in a really calm place. And then we might have our tea or whatever that looks like for you in the morning, and then go about your day. So that could be a really small, short routine. Of course, Ayurveda back in the day, when our modern world hadn't caught up on us, the routines looked a lot longer and different. There was breath work, there was movement, there was abhyanga, which is oil massage of the self, giving yourself self-love, pranayama, which is the breath work, the meditation. There was a lot more things that they would do in a morning routine to really help center that central nervous system. And then I always like to say, having a routine in the evening. So you want to ground yourself at the start of the day, and you want to ground yourself at the end of the day. For a lot of my clients, this might look like going to a wall, laying on your back, flipping your legs up the wall, right? Legs are up, resting, laying on your back, an eye pillow on, put 5-10 minutes of meditation music on, and just allowing yourself to be. Now that position really quickly gets into that parasympathetic state. That's why I love it so much. And often we're either sitting all day or we're on our feet, and so we can have a lot of energy pulled down. So it's a beautiful position for that. And then the other thing that has been super helpful for clients is we hear meditation is wonderful. Breathwork and meditation is so wonderful. But the thought of having to try to do 20 to 40 minutes in the morning and the evening can be like, I'm just not going to do that. Yeah. And so I say, that's fine. Like, just do some micro meditations through the day. And all that does is it helps to reset your central nervous system and calm your hormones so they can actually start to communicate with each other how they should be. Those communication pathways are all settled down, so we can allow that to happen. And so what this might look like is, between clients or study or whatever that might be, on your lunch break, just closing down the eyes, breathing slowly, really emphasizing the slow exhale and coming back into the body. And that might be 1 minute, a micro meditation, I call it. Having a few of those throughout the day just really helps to reset the central nervous system. And those little tweaks have been game changers for my clients.
Totally agree, Harmony. I love breath work. I use it myself every day, and I have my morning meditation. I don't do it as much at night. I do like spa music and candles and things like that. I'm not like consciously focusing on breath work, but I'm doing more relaxation in a different way. But I so hear you that I see the same thing with my patients, that when they do add in that routine is so important, especially when you're in that state of stress and anxiety, because it creates like you don't have time to even think about how you can have the self-care come in, right? And so you have that as you're like, okay, this is it. It's already in my schedule. I know I'm going to be doing XYZ. And then if you can't have the excuse excuse. I didn't get to that because I had to make the kids lunch or something. So it's like you can just do a little bit. And the micro meditations or micro calming sessions, I love doing that myself. I think that is such an important way, especially with our new state of homework. You're working at home, where a lot of us are working from home and sitting more at the computers or in an office space. It helps us to get up and move and to have a refocus, like a revisiting to that particular place and time, which can just, it's like a reboot, like a mini reboot throughout the day, having a reset.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is, isn't it? Like a little reboot.
Yeah.
And so it actually, if you're feeling tired, it's so perfect for reinvigorating your energy, especially if you do it with the breath.
Yes. So important. And do you have a good resource on your website? Now you have some great resources for breath work about specifically where someone that's tuning in could come. Do you have that on your website?
Now you mention it, I don't have a lot on my website about breathwork, but I do have a YouTube channel, so Harmony Inspired Health, and I have got a few different breathwork practices on my YouTube, but I just haven't put them on my website actually. So that's a really good point. Not yet. They will be now. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, great. They can go to your YouTube channel. What was the YouTube channel again?
Harmony Inspired Health. And I have
perfect.
Yeah, so I've got a few meditations, breath work, the alternate nostril breathing, the Nadi Shodhana, box breathing, all of those, just really simple techniques to do.
Oh, great. Okay, we'll make sure we put that in the show notes for everybody tuning in so you can check out some of those great breathwork techniques.
Yeah, and I'm actually so excited about the breath work. As an Ayurvedic practitioner, it's something we prescribe to clients, and through my program where I certify coaches as well, I teach them, but I'm actually in the midst of creating a breathwork certification, a Vedic breathwork certification.
Ooh, that's exciting, Harmony. That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, breathwork is really becoming, it's like the thing right now. People are talking a lot about how important it can be for changing the health. And we're seeing a lot of studies that are being done around the changes it does in stress levels, cardiovascular health. It's just the benefits for the brain. There's so many different ways that we need oxygen out there. If you're not breathing, breathe, take a deep breath. We need to have oxygen. It's so important.
Absolutely.
Yes. How do you see, Harmony, the change moving forward between the bridge between Western medicine and Ayurvedic medicine for improving women's health, particularly? I think we're seeing a lot of bridges meeting, but how do you see that particularly in moving forward? Like, what would be in your dream world for how these two come together?
Absolutely. I think both Western medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, natural health, naturopathy, all of that, all have their place in our modern world. And allopathic medicine, so Western medicine, is very good for acute situations, but they're not so good for preventative healthcare or for addressing all of those aspects we spoke about. You're not going to go to your doctor and they're not going to be like, how connected do you feel to your purpose right now? They are starting to talk more about emotional health and mental health. They are starting to realize how important diet is, but they would then maybe refer you on to more of a clinical dietitian, as opposed to looking at the individuality of the person. They have a role, and we are using science. Like I said, I do use functional lab tests in my clinic, and I know you do as well, because you came and spoke on my podcast, which was amazing, about these type of tests. And so it is really important. The other thing is, if we do suspect, as a women health practitioner, if they're getting a lot of bloating and it's not just, doesn't mean it could be dietary. We need to look for ovarian tumors. We need to send them to the doctor. We need to get those scans. We need to work with them. But also, I would love for the doctors to really see the value in what we do and refer more and more so to ourselves. And I do feel like that is happening. I think because my background is actually a clinical emergency nurse. So I have my foot in both worlds. My partner is actually a medical doctor. So I do see both worlds, and I am getting referred clients from the medical health practitioners, and I guess there are a lot of the clients where they're almost in the too hard basket and
Right.
they've
Yes.
done all what they can in
I
the
have a lot of
medical world.
those referrals myself. Yes. Oh, we don't know what to do. We're hands up, like we're clueless. So go see a naturopathic doctor, the detective, Dr. Lulu. She'll help you.
Exactly, because we go deeper, look at the problem from where it originated, and how can we actually start to not only treat symptoms to manage the symptoms, but to treat the root core problem, which comes down to a lot of lifestyle, dietary, past traumas, emotional impact, limiting beliefs, like these things that you're not going to have addressed in the traditional medical appointment. So
Yes.
I thought we should always see ourselves as a collaboration and a beautiful team rather than separating ourselves. So my mission, and it's even, I think, like in my intro on my podcast, is my mission is to bridge the gap between modern medicine, being allopathic Western medicine, and natural health and Ayurveda, because they work so beautifully together. And the other thing is, we are busy, we are in the modern world. Healing yourself fully, optimizing your health from a natural health standpoint, it does take work and it does take change. And that's why a lot of people just don't do it. And so just prescribing pharmaceuticals is not ideal. It is not the way to do things. For some people, it's necessary because they're just not going to go down the real health path.
Yes.
There needs to be something for those people as well, who are just, who instead of dying, need that option.
Right. Yes. And I think that's a really great example of that bridge, right? And it is that collaboration. And we're going to see, I think, as both of our fields become more and more knowledgeable, not for us, but for the people looking outside, looking in towards us, as it becomes more knowledgeable, as they see the benefits that we're doing with our patients and clients, and the words get spread around about what even we do, right? I think that's the knowledge being empowering. So if you're seeing a practitioner like myself or Harmony, tell your primary care physician, if it's not one of us, tell your primary care physician about what we do, how you're being helped, the results that you've seen, the positivity, and then refer a friend, and so that you can help spread the word. Because I think it's really, the impact is so huge, especially like you probably receive the same way I do, like referrals by word of mouth. It's okay, Dr. Lulu helped me this way. Okay, yeah, go see her. And so I think we don't always receive the wellness cases, which is what I think one of your points is. We want to be the prevention people. We want to help you in that stage. So before you're seeing the practitioner, the health practitioner, the primary care doctor for an extensive disease, come see us first so that we can help you, because that's the real face of medicine, right? Prevention and wellness. Yeah,
absolutely. Ayurveda even talks about the 6 stages of disease. If you're coming in with already that fully formed disease, you're already at stage 6. Like, we want to see you at stage 1, your body's just giving you those whispers, so we can change that so you don't get to stage 6. I think the other important thing to note about with bridging the gap and understanding what we do and how worthy and amazing our work is that the medics, they love that scientific evidence and that scientific proof. And although natural medicine has a lot of that, it is harder to prove with some parts of what we do, because you can't do a placebo effect. So yes, we can do that with herbal medicine. So we can give placebo herbal medicine. So that's been very well documented. But a lot of the other things we do, it's you're either doing it or you're not. So you can say it works or it doesn't for subgroups, but there's not a lot of placebo you can do. You can't placebo a diet or placebo a lifestyle. So they have a lot more money thrown into their scientific papers. Their placebo is basically, you take this medication or you take a fake medication, like things like that. Yeah, that's also important.
Yeah, totally. I think evidence-based medicine is also changing, I think, too, as we're seeing, as the studies are changing. I think we'll see that evolution as well, as we're seeing like a longer term of study where we can bring in those other components. But like you said, some of our types of medicine, it's just not a piece, like mind-body medicine, mindset. It's harder to have a study about that. There are studies that are done on breath work, meditation, and things like that. But it is harder to quantify because we have the tools, to measure was it without just a lifestyle quiz. So yes, we'll see that change, I'm sure too. Harmony, can you share some testimonials of just a case to study for us? I think would be great. Just like one. I'm sure we don't have time for all of your wonderful clients, but one great success story, and walk us through maybe briefly about what the person came in with and some of the things that they saw in their results and some of the treatment that you did.
Yeah, absolutely. Two come to mind, but I'll stick with one. So I've got a really good PCOS client that I just saw. I've also got a few PMD clients, and I'll just go with the PMD client that actually came up to me at soccer the other day. She was, so both our kids play soccer, and when you see a client, you try to be really professional.
Don't right. Yes.
Yeah, but she came up to me, she goes, "Hey, how are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm really good. How are you?" And she's, "I'm so amazing. I can't thank you enough. You've really helped me with my PMDD." And basically, I took her through the process. I spoke about the higHERself methodology. Her biggest takeaways really came from understanding herself in the moment of her reactions, through those emotional reactions that are created in PMDD. We also had put her on herbal supplements and stuff to really support her mind and her body. But she had some really key takeaways from the Ayurvedic psychology sessions that we did, which is looking at where those triggers and traumas had come from and why they're so triggered around that time of the month, and also just understanding the fluctuations and what's happening, and that she didn't feel so, when we first met, I feel like such a terrible mom, like I can't help it, I just start yelling at the kids and my husband. But through the self-awareness and education, she's been able to explain this to her children, to her husband. She's able to catch herself in those reactive moments. She's been able to come to those tools that I teach throughout, those being able to turn that reaction around in that split second and coming back into the mind and the body through the breath, or whatever those tools were for her. That's really helped, and see life in a different way, and not being pigeonholed by her PMD diagnosis. It doesn't mean that you can't have some really fantastic months. Yes, you will start to notice that sensitivity to the fluctuation in hormones, but when you understand why, you can start to rewire that central nervous system, that reaction that you're getting to the fluctuations. And also by helping minimize the stress sex hormone imbalance, which we did a lot of. So that was really amazing, because it's just one that came to my head, because she literally came running up to me at the soccer fields the other day and said how wonderful she's feeling after completing the program. And it's been a real life changer for her and for her mental and emotional health and how she perceived herself as a person. I think that's really big.
Oh, thank you, Harmony. It's such a great for the listeners to actually be able to relate to a real life story, right? I think because we know as practitioners the benefits that our clients really feel, our patients feel, but when they can relate, oh yeah, the soccer mom, the real life mom, like really dealing with the family and all of those pieces, I think that is so important. So thank you for sharing that with us. Well, that's so true, Harmony. When we have that piece of connection with our patients, we're really able to reestablish like that, also that trust piece. I think that really, when people feel better and they can relate to the practitioner, right? They're like, oh yes, I feel amazing. And then they start to trust us more for continued care. And I really like that you brought all of that into play with your real life client.
Absolutely. And then they go and share the good news with their friends.
Exactly. One thing that you mentioned earlier too is that you help others like yourself become certified holistic health coaches with the Ayurveda Alchemist program. Is that right? Yeah, I'd love for you to share just a little bit about that for those of you that are tuning in that are health practititioners and thinking like, oh my gosh, I would love to learn with Harmony about how to be an Ayurvedic health coach myself.
So I absolutely love this program. It lights me up so much. And I think the community is one big part, like having a beautiful community of like-minded people. But what it is like a 3-in-1 program. So it's an epic self-development program, because we don't just teach you the Ayurvedic principles we really show you how to embody those principles for yourself. So all along the way, there's little embodiment tasks for you to do so that you can actually become that walking embodiment of your craft. And it's just such a life-changing program for some people, just on that real personal level. So we really dive into your ethics, your values, the type of coach you want to be, how you want to show up, your dharma, your soul purpose, all of these things whilst learning Ayurveda. So we actually start with Ayurvedic psychology and philosophy and really dive deep into that so we can build that foundation. And then from there, we move into a lot of the health related subjects, dinacharya, lifestyle medicine, Ayurvedic nutrition, women's health, men's health. We have a lot of guest expert speakers and lectures coming in to speak about panchakarma, prenatal, postnatal, pregnancy care, all of these wonderful things. And so the other, like I said, it's like a 3-part certificate. The other part is obviously becoming an Ayurveda holistic health coach. So really learning all of those important tools. And we also, the third part is we offer business mentorship and business training so that you can create your own unique methodology that's going to speak and treat directly your soul aligned clients that you want to help. Because I've had students, I teach a lot of women's health in there as well. That's my jam. I love women's health. So it is like a women's health Ayurveda certification, but I've had women go through that and they're actually men's health practitioners and they've gone on to become authors, having Ayurveda as a really big part of their book. So it depends on where you really want to niche in whatever area, because Ayurveda has such a beautiful holistic framework to help you take all of the teachings that you've learned throughout the program and take your previous knowledge and your skills, because that is what makes you unique, and then build upon that to create a framework that's going to really help solve the problem of your soul aligned client. So you are actually stepping in to your dharma, your purpose every day, and creating greater impact in the world.
That sounds fabulous. I want to sign up, except I can't do another thing. My brain is okay. This is good. but yes, it sounds amazing, Harmony. And I think, is it an online program or is it an in-person program?
No, it's online. So
Nice.
I have students from all over the world. And as I mentioned, part of that is we teach you how to do some simple basic breath work that you can prescribe your clients, and all of these really wonderful Ayurvedic tools. But eventually I'll also, like I am working right now on a stage 2, which is a breathwork facilitation program as well.
That's great. And they can find all that on your website too, I'm sure. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So as we're wrapping up today, Harmony, I have a couple things. One, I'd love for you to tell everyone about your podcast because it's amazing. And so tell us a little bit about what it is and the global aspects of it.
Yeah, so my podcast is Harmony Inspired Health. Basically, you look up Harmony Inspired Health anywhere except for Instagram, because it's Harmony Inspired Ayurveda. But the podcast is Harmony Inspired Health, and it's all about bridging the gap between modern allopathic medicine and natural health and Ayurveda. So I invite a lot of other practitioners, such as Dr. Lulu herself, who are professionals and experts with their craft. So we can really start to spread the word on how much of an impact natural health practitioners are making in the world. We talk a lot about all aspects of the self. So natural, looking at the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, purpose. There's just so many different beautiful conversations that really encompass holistic health on there.
I love it. Yeah. And what's the name of the podcast again for our listeners?
Harmony Inspired Health.
Great. And we will put that in the show notes so you can tune in and listen to some of Harmony's amazing episodes there. And also you have a great freebie for our listeners. Tell us about the Foundations of Ayurveda series that you have on your website.
Yes, I do. So if you are interested in learning a little bit more about Ayurveda, I have created a free 5-part program called the Foundations of Ayurveda, and it does start with Ayurvedic psychology. It looks at dinacharya, we look at the elements, the doshas, so you get a nice rounded aspect of what Ayurveda actually is. So it is an absolutely free program. It's done by videos, and yeah, it's lifetime access.
Super. Love that. Everybody check that out. That sounds fabulous. And where can people find you, Harmony? Website, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so my website is harmonyinspiredhealth.com.au, and everything's on there, including my podcast, except for the breath work yet, but it will be. And my Instagram is Harmony Inspired Ayurveda, and I have a really beautiful Facebook community called the Ayurveda and Women's Health Sisterhood, and that's where I do a lot of my live trainings and also live streaming my podcast in, which is awesome as well. So you get a sneak peek, because my podcast episodes are scheduled quite far in advance. So yes, you get a sneak peek of the live. You're in there, your live's in there.
That's right. Yeah, so everyone can check those out. And the one last question as we're wrapping up things today, Harmony, if you had an unlimited budget right now, what would you do to make the biggest impact on the planet?
Wow, what a big question. So much comes to mind. I would create this most beautiful Ayurvedic Panchakarma healing center. And then I would be donating so much of the profits to beautiful charities, and the ones that are, I feel like a lot of those war-torn countries, we are so blessed where we live. We're so protected in so many ways. And I think we lose sight of that. Our luxuries have become our privileges. And I feel like we shouldn't feel bad or guilty about that. We should honor that blessing. But if I was to create such a beautiful luxury spot for people to heal, I would want so much of that to go towards people who are in a more difficult time where they don't have that luxury. So I think if I had so much money, that's how I would be like channeling it. So we can bring in a beautiful healing center and then pouring out to other people so that they can get the essentials they need to heal in their countries as well, including fresh food and water and education. I would probably build like a massive, beautiful education system that can go in and teach these people and help them get skills as well, so they can become professionals and ignite their dharma and their purpose. Oh gosh, don't get me started. I keep thinking, then I'm like, what else?
You're like, oh, okay. Yes, I think that is a vision that you are already creating. I think that one is definitely happening inside you. That's a wonderful one. And it's amazing. One of the things I love about that question and asking it to our wonderful guests is that so many people have a similar one. There's lots of different ones, but it's the healing centers is such a common theme. And I think that's a vision we're going to see happen in our future, is healing centers like that all over the world, where it's all of these alternative health centers where people can come, and whether you have funds or don't, it's going to be a place you can come for healing, because we need it on our planet. So if you're out there and you have a vision of a health center, let's make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on to the show today, Harmony. I really loved our conversation, and I can't wait to share it with the world.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure. And as always, I love your energy. It's always so much fun talking to you.
Likewise, Harmony. Thank you so much.